Hello everyone, welcome along to Vallelunga for the 5th round of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe. It is race 1 this morning, race 2 this afternoon, and then round 6 next weekend. We're at Vallelunga, which has been host to 3 World Finals in the past, and it is the 3rd World Finals next weekend. But first of all, this is our replacement race for what should have been our opening round in Imola, which got cancelled, and therefore a double bubble of Vallelunga Motorsport over the next couple of weekends. And because it's the track for just Lamborghini Super Trofeo, we're able to split the grids. We've just had an entertaining AM and Lamborghini Cup race. We now have the pros and the pro-ams, and they are here to show they mean business. It is important for them to show Lamborghini what they can do as pros, because of course Lamborghini really expanding their programs over the next couple of years. Cloudy conditions today, nothing like what we had yesterday, which was beautiful blue sky and just 12 degrees track temperature. It's not much warmer in the air. The wet tyres are being taken off the grid though. It was a bit of a mystery for the AMS and the Lamborghini Cup drivers on the first couple of laps. They all stayed on the slicks, but it was a difficult one for these drivers, these pros as well, with the confidence going out onto the first couple of corners. They will all be on the slick tyre. It'll be hard to get any temperature into those slick tyres, there's no doubt about that. But we will soon get our cars underway. And on the pole position is Mattia Michelotto, who will start the car and then hand it over to Giles Stadbatter, or Gilles, and they are second in the championship. Alongside them will be Zonzini and Colombani, and that is a strong qualifying from that partnership, with Bonduel on his own in 3rd position for pro. Amaury Bonduel 4th in the championship. Now, Zonzini, I believe, is in the Pro-Am category. Ugo de Wilde and Ricardo Testa. Testa with the time, and therefore will start the race. And so, yeah, Emanuele Colombini and Zonzini find themselves the Pro-Am car, but on the front row of a grid that comprises Pro and Am. The next of the Pro-Ams is the 68 car, down in 7th position. Now, we do have an onboard camera. Lewandowski is our taxi driver, let's say. And he is down on row 10 of the grid. So a huge amount of work for Lewandowski to do. A man who has already taken championship victories in the past. He will be our starting driver. And he lies second in the championship. 8 points behind Alex Au in Pro-Am. Au has got his teammate back, Frederick Schandorf, who was not with him in Valencia last time out. Actually, Alex Au taking a victory with Patrick Kouaja in Valencia in race 2. But Schandorf, champion. And there is Emanuele Zonzini. A very strong qualifying for them. Big field of cars. We go all the way down to 29th position. Now, I don't think that we have 29 cars on the grid. I'm pretty sure we will only have 28, and that is because the Brutal Fish Racing car, number 71 of Liberati and Martin Rieber, crashed in practice and damaged their chassis And when I walked past it this morning, there was not much progress made on the build of that chassis versus what it looked like last night. So the full grid then: Michelotto and Zonzini on row 1. Bonduelle does not share the car with anybody, alongside Testa on row 2. And then Marzio Moretti in 5th, and Brendan Leach, our championship leader, down in 6th position only, a second off the pace. Work to do. Luca Seggio, the second of our Pro-Am cars, with Giacomo Polini in 8th, Riccardo Iaroni in 9th, and then Largim Ali in 10th position for Target. Yelmer Berman 11th, and Douglas Bolger in 12th position. Very strong row 6. Pedro Ibrahim and Edgar Melogi. And then Carol Bash in 16th position. Marcus Pavarud beside him. Lorenzo Pegaroro and Filippo Berto in 18th spot. Andrei Lewandowski, our onboard camera car, down on row 10, as I said, with Stefan Trubanini alongside him. Abby Eaton, the female racer, in 21st alongside Patrick Mattinson. And then Michel Blanchimont, Sebastian Fremuth, Lucas Valcre and Robert van den Berg. Alex Au only down in row 14 alongside Shota Abtavada. And then, as I said, no Liberati. So Alex Au also with a dreadful qualifying. And Au is with huge work to do as the championship leader in Pro-Am. Has an 8-point buffer, and over Lewandowski, who is there, who is only a couple of positions ahead. So our leaders in Pro-Am, the first 2 anyway, first 3 I should say, are right at the back of the field, interestingly. Now 4th in the championship was number 16. And that's Loris Spinelli, who partners Lewandowski. So the Berman, the championship, Pro-Am championship versus what we see on the grid here is completely mixed up. It's unbelievable. Colombini and Zonzini, 7th in the championship, but 2nd position on our grid. Ahead of them is Martin Rieber and Liberati, who aren't starting. Yelmer Berman and Schondeverd. Berman and Schondeverd down in 11th position. And I suppose that's the thing about Pro-Am. It really does mix it up. Now, we've really done a good job of choosing our onboard camera with Zonzini. Not much view of the exterior from the onboard camera at the moment, but we get a good chance to see what the driver is doing inside, trying to warm up some tyres and brakes. There is Abby Eaton's number 33. Shares that car with Dan Aaron. And they lie 7th in the Pro Championship. There is Zonzini. In the 78, the grey machine closest to you, lines up alongside Michelotto. Mattia Michelotto in the VRS. Another massive grid of one-make Super Trofeos. On row 2, Bonduelle and Testa. Then Moretti in the Oregon famous colours. Brendan Leach with the lights on behind. Leach knows he needs to really get the hammer down in these early couple of corners. Through Roma. Zonzini looking to the right-hand side, trying to control his breathing. Not allowed to go until the leader goes. Can't be ahead to the line, waiting for the lights to turn from red to green. We're racing and there's a slow start in the middle of the pack. Some of the cars decide to go onto the grass, which is not particularly advisable. At the head of the field, though, a really, really clean, good getaway from Michelotto, who leads through Curva Grande. Not a good start from Zonzini. Round the outside comes Brendan Leach for third position. Leach is going to be hung out to dry there, has to go off the track and loses a position to Testa, I think it was. We've got Michelotto. Bonduel perhaps in second position. Oh, looking up is a number 10 of Testa. He's going to lose a position there to Brendan Leach, who slides his way through. Loads of sorting out further back. We've got the Oregon car off on the grass, needs to gather the car up, not come across the pack. We've got more cars spinning in the middle of the pack. Oh, is that Brendan Leach has gone around? Yes, it is. Championship leader, Brendan Leach. Only once off the podium in this season, but there's huge work to do now on this first lap. I wonder if there was contact. We heard the car spin. We didn't see the car spin. Round the outside comes the 66 of Carol Bash. That is on Douglas Bolger, down in outside the top 10 positions. Wherever you look, huge amount of movement. Moretti was another one that's gone round on that first lap. The number 61 car. Starting, that's the Oregon car that we saw on the grass. And it just was so slippery that he had no traction at all to get back onto the circuit, did he? Moretti dropping all the way down to 25th position. This is going to really mix things up for the championship. Only race one. We've still got race two and then round 6, race 1 and race 2 as well, as already Brendan Leach starts to make inroads. Leach down in 13th position. Here's the replay. There's Moretti going off on the right-hand side, and Brendan does get a big tag from the number 10 machine, and that is Ricardo Testa. We didn't see that Testa had that much damage. Look at the damage to the back end of Brendan Leach. There is Testa, 4th in shot, with a big chunk of Lamborghini missing from the front right corner of his car. Down the inside, it looks the same livery as Ibrahim Badaway, doesn't it? That was Segu getting past Paulini for 7th position, I think. And Ibrahim in the 44 car just going through shot. 89 is Yelmer Berman. Got Carol Bash trying to go around the outside. He tried it here last time on that 15 car of Douglas Bolger. It worked for him that time. It didn't work this time. Race start is under investigation. Incident between number 10, Ricardo Testa, and Brendan Leach under investigation. Well, it's pretty clear what happened there, isn't it? There's a chunk out of the front of Ricardo Testa's car, and there's damage to the rear left of Brendan Leach. But Leach is still in touch. 13th spot. Paulini, number 51, dropping like a stone. So there's a problem for the 51 car that may have even come into the pits, I think. Brendan Leach down the inside of Douglas Bolger. Gets that one done nice and quickly. Has Carol Bash now ahead of him. To Carol's outside. We'll have to go round the outside here. Very, very late on the brakes, fighting the car. It looks like the number 51 car has got a problem with his transponder. Brendan getting forced onto the grass. Douglas Bolger comes back past him. This really isn't going the way of Brendan Leach on these early laps, is it? Runs over those sausage curves on the outside as well, giving the car some real pain. Needs his race engineer to get onto him and say, calm down. You've got 42 minutes left of this race, and yes, we've got guys heading off into the distance at the head of the field, but that's a lot better to get some points than to get none at all. And actually, Brendan Leach is probably only 6th or 7th in class, such as the amount of pro-ams ahead of him. Michelotto, Mattia Michelotto leads by 1.8 seconds over Amaury Bonduel. Now Michelotto hands that car over to Gilles Stadbader. Bonduelle races alone. Big gap then to Zonzini, who ends up in third position, handing that over to Colombani. And then it's Testa, Ianello and Ali in a battle for fourth position. Where's he going? Wow! Miles and miles and miles away from the circuit. Malagione showing just how wet this grass is. I think that was originally at Curva Grande, effectively turn one. But it's a bit scary, isn't it? When you get on the grass, there's just no traction whatsoever. Malagione, another of our drivers to join us this weekend. Bonduelle. No wins to his name so far this year. Best result, second in the second race at the Nürburgring. As now we ride on board with Zonzini. Emanuela with Colombini team weight. And I apologize, it's not Emanuelle, it's Emanuela. She is doing a fantastic job right now. Testa, big pressure from behind. Ianiello and Largim Ali, number 50 and number 9, directly behind him. And Testa's car with a big chunk out the front of it, thanks to that contact with Brendan Leach, will certainly not feel right, and especially under the high speed stuff. I imagine he's really struggling. I wonder whether that car is even straight. Oh, locks the front wheel, opens the door. Through comes Ianello and Largim Ali. And you can expect the two of them to disappear up the road now. Oh, somebody's lost the car. Who is that? Big slide, I think, from Ianello, and that is why Largim Ali is now side by side and into turn one and takes fourth position. Now Brendan Leach is dropping like a stone on our timing screens on the left-hand side. Have we lost our championship leader from this one? He's dropped to 19th position. I think Brendan Leach has had another spin somewhere in the last sector of the lap, so that was the wheel squealing that I could hear. It wasn't Ianello and Largim Ali, it was Brendan Leach spinning in the complex. No, it was in the final sector of the lap, so it was either the S's, it must have been the S's, because we were looking at the final turn. And instantly, Ricardo Testa, 6th position, is reeled in by Segu. That number 10 machine is absolutely not working right, is it? These cars designed to have all their bits of body work on them. And when you rip a bit off like that and leave it exposed, the car does not operate as it once was intended. So, confirmation that Brendan Leach down in 19th position, then he has had a spin. It's not a transponder issue. And you see, that is the problem. You could see it in the way he was driving. He got a bit of red mist after being knocked around by Riccardo Testa, and it was always going to lead potentially to another mistake. Leach now in 19th position. 19th equates to 25 seconds back from Mattia Michelotto, the leader of the race. There he is, luckily with lots of cars around him, but even more work to do. The door opened for him there by Berto, so that was easy. Now, drive-through penalty for number 42, so that's Fremut, and 66, which is Carol Bash, for jumping the start. So that removes 2 cars out of Brendan Leach's way as we now come into the stadium section. And here is a super slow-mo of Brendan Leach, and he's gone down the inside. And I think that's just him getting very close, isn't it? Yeah, that's him getting very close, trying to make moves and get through this slower traffic as much as possible. Next target for Brendan Leach is Berto. So actually, he stays in 19th position. He hasn't moved up. Thought we saw him pass somebody. All over the back of that number 11 machine. Now down the inside at Chimney 1. Oh, it opens the door as well for him to lose another position. And gosh, that was cheeky. Moretti grabbing 2 spots. Now Moretti was another of the cars that was off the circuit at the start of the race. So we expect him to make progress too. Poor Alberto being bombarded here. He's about to lose another spot, and that was to Mattiasson. Behind them is Lewandowski, who's made no progress whatsoever. Alex Auer also completely at the back of the field. So championship leaders in Pro-Am are nowhere to be seen. Yelmer Berman only 10th position, so only made up 1 position. Liberati non-starter. Emanuela and Emmanuel for Iron Lynx, who are up there in 3rd position, leading Pro-Am by a mile, are going to have a really good payday here. Meanwhile in Pro, Brendan Leach, we've been watching for a while, is going to lose a chunk of points. He has a good advantage over Mattia Michelotto and Jill Stadbader of 11.5 points. Well, I think he's going to lose most of that advantage in this first race. There's Bonduel. He's 4th in our championship, as I said before. 6 seconds back from Michelotto, who's done a really strong job in this first part of the race. And then it is Emanuela Zonzini with Largimali in 4th. And Largimali, now he's been released behind Riccardo Testa, is right on the tail of Zonzini here. Oh, that's late from Ali. Down the inside. Zonzini was very kind. Gave plenty of room to Largimali. And Ali up to 3rd position. Drivers in the pits now starting to get themselves ready. This is a great run for Largimali as well. I don't think we've seen him run anywhere near this high up. In fact, I'm trying to see. He must have moved classes, I suppose, because I'm sure we've seen him in the Super Trofeo before. Yes, can't read, can I? He's 6th in the championship, but only 1 podium to his name. 3rd last time out in Valencia. 10-second penalty being applied to Riccardo Testa at the end of his race for contact with Brendan Leach. But I think the pain really is in the damage to that car. And I don't even really think the team can do anything about it. during the pit stop. Because I think you really need to replace the whole front bumper, and I'm not sure that is the work of a moment. The pit stop from pit in to pit out is 90 seconds if you're a double driver, 93 seconds if you're a single driver. So Michelotto and Stadbader, for instance, it will be a 90-second pit stop for them. Bonduelle in second position on his own, so he will have an extra 3 seconds. Now that could, if you do the maths at this particular point, put him behind Lagamali, who's going to hand his car over to Oliver Sodstrom. And Soderstrom could find himself up into second position once all those pit stops are done. We've got a minute before the window opens. And Zonzini still holding on healthily to the Pro-Am lead. Now into the pits comes Carol Bash, but that is too early. The 66 car that already has, oh no, they're doing a drive-through penalty, aren't they? Remember they had a drive-through penalty for jumping the start with them and number 42. So that's why Carol Bash is coming in. He doesn't need to serve that during the pit open window. So he's doing it this lap, and then presumably next lap will come in and they will swap drivers. This is our leader, Matteo Michelotto. Epic qualifying, super solid first part of this race. Still got half an hour remaining. I don't expect Michelotto to come straight into the pits either. Pit lane is now open. The pit window of 10 minutes now gives permission to the drivers to change from one driver to another. If you've got an AM in the car in the first part of the session, you'll be getting that guy out as soon as possible. If you've got a Pro, you'll be keeping them out as long as possible. Alex Au, I can expect to be handing over to Frederick Schandorf pretty quickly. Au is 26th, and we've only got 28 runners. Maglione and Fremut, who we've seen, well, Maglione was the guy that was off the circuit in the gravel. Fremut had a drive-through penalty. Carol Bash had a drive-through penalty. Alex Au has had no issues, but he is behind Carol Bash in the number 81 car. Ugo de Wilde jumping aboard the car that Ricardo Testa started. That car has a 10-second penalty, remember, and has plenty of damage. Lots of air I can hear being taken out of the tyres of that car. Peugeot Beja jumping aboard the car that Abraham was running. Plenty of Super Trofeos in the pit lane right now. There's Frederick Schandorf. Missed the last round. Sorry, that's not. That's Laura Spinelli, isn't it? And getting the car from Lewandowski. Spinelli with huge work to do. Lewandowski only 24th. Waiting for the signal to exit the pits. Meanwhile, though, Michelotto staying out on circuit. He is reveling in the clean track ahead of him. But there's a bit of jeopardy now with all these cars in the lower half of the field pitting. Michelotto could find himself in a bit of traffic in the latter half of this stint. 8.3 to the good over Bonduelle. Now, Bonduelle, I think, does have traffic in second position because my tracker is suggesting that the Ugo de Wilde Testa car is just ahead of him. And that actually is a car that you would expect to run at the same pace as Bonduelle, usually. So they won't necessarily be wanting to hand over the track position. Berto out. Manetti in. from the car that was 19th position. Remember, that was ahead of Brendan Leach after Leach's second mistake. Or, no, actually, that's not fair. His first mistake, his second spin. Leach has also done his pit stop, so he's got that out the way. And has a bit of clear track ahead of him right now, Brendan Leach. He's got the 89 car ahead of him. Bonduelle in the pits. So Bonduelle doing his pit stop right now. Still plenty of time for this car to do their pit stop. And so much clear track ahead of him. Now, Bonduelle would have pitted because of the Ugo de Wilde tester car ahead of him. That's the reason why. He would have felt like perhaps he was being held up. So whilst one VRS car has a lot of clear track ahead of them, the rest of them are in a right scrap. Loris Spinelli here, trying to get past, or should easily get past, the 95 machine of Pavarud. And there is Spinelli. But as I said before, massive amounts of work to do. Now, Jim Plower is also down there. Jim Plower is a man that you would associate to a German brand rather than an Italian brand of GT3 races. But Michel Blanchimont and Jim Plower have been trying their hand at all kinds of different things over the last couple of months. And they join us here in the Super Trofeo. We've got Spinelli, Pla and Schandorf right at the back of the field. Watching those guys come through, it's going to be absolutely fascinating. There is so much traffic to contend with. Mainetti, sorry. The next car for Spinelli to try and get past. As the timing screens continue to sort themselves out, a little twitch from the 11 machine. Spinelli's going to line up a pass quite easily, I think, down into Chimney. And that is done. Mainetti dropping behind. And there's Brendan Leach coming through the front of shot. So actually, Leach is still in an okay position, to be honest. Certainly not where he would want to be, but considering the adventures that the New Zealander has had. Matteo Michelotto, though, untroubled at the head of the field. A few cars are in the pits right now. But he's going to come past the pit lane here, and he's going to have nobody coming out on circuit ahead of him. He's actually just come out fractionally ahead of the number 9 machine, which was Largim Ali, and now should be Oliver Söderström. And at the back of shot somewhere is that car, which is third in the race. So, such as all this shaking out, there is, I think, in the back of shot, Bonduelle and Söderström. Yes, it is. So, as we predicted, Söderström got ahead, but makes a mistake down at Chimney too, and Bonduelle goes back ahead. So that was the battle for effectively second position. And a mistake from Oliver Söderström, opening the door for Bonduelle, the Frenchman, to get through, and that was easy, really. Now, still cars are in the pits, but still Michelotto has no troubles. I think with 2 minutes remaining, he could go and do another lap. He's going to go and maximise this stint completely. Listen to those Hankook tyres complaining through the final turn. He is absolutely asking everything of his VRS Super Trofeo. First year, of course, on Hankook tyres. Seems to have been a pretty successful partnership, although, of course, the first weekend of Super Trofeo ended up being Paul Ricard, and would you believe, in June, it was wet. So they had very little experience on the wet tyre. Last of the pit stops now being done. I think Michelotto is going to be the last guy to go into the pits here. The leader of our race, untroubled in the first half an hour of the race. Look at it. There's nobody around. It's like he's on a test session. Yet there are 28 other cars on the track. He just has had clear track all the way through. Zonzini then out. And there is Colombini jumping in. Our onboard camera car was third overall before the start, before the pit lane opened. And that is pit stop done for Zonzini. Meanwhile, with 15 seconds remaining, our leader comes in. Michelotto handing over to Gilles Stadbader. Surely has this all under control. Bonduelle and Söderström come over the line in second and third. And I wonder whether the Ianello Lamborghini Roma by DL Racing car that has now been handed over to Fabi, wondering whether that is our car next in the queue, because it's still kind of working it out, the timing screens, especially with the leader in the pits. Timing screens don't like it. Oh, now that was a spin from somebody I could hear in the stadium section. Here is Bonduelle in second position. And that, I think, was Douglas Bolger who spun. I could just hear it in the back of shot. He's had a very, very slow last sector of the lap, Douglas Bolger. Bonduelle has checked out from Oliver Söderström as Stadbader comes out onto circuit, and again gifted completely clear air. Unbelievable. There's the gap, the live gap between himself and Amaury Bonduelle, and it is massive. The number 6 machine, on a day where their championship rival Brendan Leach has really struggled, VRS are doing absolutely everything that they need to do. Third in that Pro Championship is the car of Balthazar, and that's only down in 18th spot. It's behind, would you believe, Brendan Leach. So when you look at the championship standings versus what's happening here in Vallelunga, it's so inverse. It's unbelievable. It's going to have a massive effect on how the championship is going to play out. De Wilde in the back of shot there, I think, trying to get himself up into 5th position. There is Oliver Söderström, who we saw losing 2nd spot, but actually there was a little battle going on for maybe even 4th position behind. Fabi, De Wilde and Colombini are all on the same part of the circuit. Now, Colombini, being a Pro-Am, probably doesn't need to get involved in it. De Wilde, yeah, so they come through that next split, and De Wilde is ahead of Fabi and Colombini, so that's completely inversed. There is the number 10 machine. Ricardo Testa damaging that car. Now remember, it's got a 10-second penalty. Then through shot goes Fabi and Colombini. There's Dan Arrow in the number 33. Brendan Leach there through shot. Now he is up to 12th position. Spinelli just behind him. Leach 38.5 back. But De Wilde in that number 10 car now back up into 4th position, passing the number 50. And there's a mistake from Colombini. Needs to be careful here, because the number 68 car of Locanto is ready to take some Pro-Am points from him if he keeps making those kind of errors. That's a car from the Italian Championship, or I should say a team from the Italian Championship. So in terms of the championship, not too much of a trouble, but will still take points away from Colombini if Locanto can get past. There he is. Another of the DL Racing Lamborghini Roma machines. Out in force this weekend. And pace-wise, taking a big chunk from Colombini on the last lap. Colombini doing a 39.7, improves to a 38.2, but Locanto, okay, equals that pace now on that last lap. There's Brendan Leach with Spinelli right behind him. Two different classes. Actually, Spinelli is now amazingly 3rd in class. And we've got a car off Van den Berg. Doesn't look like he's touched the wall, but Benjamin, that is, in the car. And just has managed to select reverse gear. And just look how little traction there now is. Slick tyres on a wet grass. That's at turn 13. Oh yeah, just a little bit too much on the grass. And oh, he did make contact. Look how strong the Lamborghini is. Hardly flexes at all when it hits the arm coat. I know it's not supposed to really do that, but I do love when the cars flame out their exhaust when trying to be restarted. We've got a few pit stops under investigation, including the guys who are 2nd in Pro-Am, Locanto. And usually if they're under investigation, it's because they're too fast, and usually if they're too fast, there's a penalty. But Brendan Leach is also under investigation, our championship leader. His day is going from bad to worse. The 3rd car to be under investigation is the number 99 machine, now being driven by Wagner. Now, you would expect those kind of mistakes from teams that aren't used to the rules of pit stops in Super Trofeo, but for Brendan Leach, for Leopard, too eager perhaps to get back out of the circuit. Leach has lost a position, by the way, to Spinelli. Not that it takes any points away from him. There's not a lot going on at the head of the field, is there? Stadbatter 8.8 ahead of Bonduelle. Soderstrom 12.7 back. Then it's De Wilde, who has escaped Fabi. Colombini on his own. Dan Arrow's now got past Colombini. Locanto. And then battle for 9th position is the first battle that we can really talk about. That's got Polini, Spinelli, Leach, Puget-Obea and Cabarrou. There it is. But Brendan Leach under investigation now. Cabarrou looks to the inside of Puget-Obea. Can't find a way through. Brendan Leach very late down the inside of Polini. Makes that move stick. It's not for position. Yes, it is for position, sorry. And it looks as though maybe the penalties are going to be small, because it's just a 0.9 of a second penalty for Locanto. Second in Pro-Am for whatever mistake they made. And Brendan Leach gets a half a second penalty. So he'll breathe a little sigh of relief there. His next target in terms of championship points is Dan Arrow. But Dan Arrow is 7 seconds up the road as Cabarrus gets muscled off the circuit. Good little battle going on here. Cabarrus and Peugeot. And that's for 12th in class. Schandorf. Is that Schandorf making some moves? No, not really. He's still down in 17th position, the number 81 machine. Absolutely no progress being made. Blue flags flying for Gilles Stadbader, who finally has some company on the circuit, would you believe? Lapped traffic to contend with. That's Douglas Bolger, who has now been lapped. Bolger's really struggling in the second half of this race. He's right in the middle of the pack in the first half, but Japanese driver not particularly happy as Spinelli and Leach continue their progress forward. Now, 8th position. Now, Spinelli has got himself up into second in Pro-Am. So, Locanto has dropped down as I had a slow lap on that last lap. Here is Loris Spinelli. So, 8th position now. Brendan Leach just behind him. But only 6.6 seconds between Spinelli and Colombini. And Spinelli's something like 3 seconds faster than Colombini. Could we see this car that was at the very tail of the field? There's Dan Arrow, by the way. Oh, and hassled Colombini off the circuit. That's not going to help matters for our Pro-Am leader. Lewandowski, remember, at the start of the race, or started the race, and was in the 20s. Spinelli's pace in the second half of this race has been unbelievable. Could find himself winning Pro-Am here. And it's not going to be that hard to do. Gosh, look how tight the hairpin is. Having to take his hands off the wheel to get the car completely turned in. There is Colombini. Great stint by Zonzini at the start of the race. But this is going to be very short work, isn't it? Dan Arrow up the road in 6th position. Then it's Colombini in 7th, Spinelli in 8th. Through the Curva Grande. There'll be no doing there. Brendan Leach even has been left behind by Loris Spinelli, who looks to the inside, and that is a change for Pro-Am lead. Unbelievable stint from Loris Spinelli. When you put an Italian on an Italian racetrack, it's pretty usual these kind of things happen. But Loris Spinelli now checks out. No need to push any longer. He's got as far as really he needs in terms of points anyway. He may want to take some more positions for fun. Dan Arrow ahead. Then Fabi in 5th, De Wilde 4th, Söderström, Bonnell and Stadbader are the cars ahead of him. Far more interesting for Brendan Leach to try and get past a few of them for his championship. It's been a good recovery drive from Brendan. Nowhere near the pace of Spinelli though. That last lap from Spinelli, a 34.1. Ooh, and we've got Balthazar 81. No, Frederick Schandorf. Well, we thought there must have been something wrong with that car, and I think that probably confirms it, because Schandorf has had to park the car facing the wrong direction, and I'm not sure whether that's driver error. Alex Au at the first part of the race had absolutely nothing to say about the performance of anybody else, really. And now Schandorf has, well, I think that car is going to be retired. The question is, they only have a couple of more hours to get the car turned around. Oh, that's a bit sketchy from Gilles Stadbader. He doesn't need a car turning in on him and causing contact. Manetti being lapped. Yeah, my big concern there for Frederick Schandorf and Alex Owl is if that is a mechanical issue, then there is a lot of work to do to get that car turned around for the second race of the afternoon, which is about 3 or 4 hours' time. Now, race 1 and race 2 on a usual weekend would be days apart, giving any kind of malady chance to be fixed. But with our World Finals timetable as it is, with our races all on the same day, you need to be doing preservation for your car for sure, and we've seen very little in terms of damage to cars. But yes, safety car is now out. The graphics not showing it, but we've got 5 minutes remaining, and there we go, safety car is being called. Wow, well, that completely changes the gaps between the race, between all of our drivers, gives, if we go back to green flag racing, an opportunity for someone like Brendan Leach to have a bit of a last gasp recovery. I don't know whether we will go back to racing, though, with only 5 minutes remaining. The idea here is to recover Frederick Schandorf's car. It's amazing how chilled. I know we're not at racing conditions now. I know we're not at full speed, but Loris Spinelli just looks so chilled. He drives past Schandorf's car to have a look. Schandorf's gone out. Oh, wow! Colombini, no! Colombini spun. He's been collected by the 44. I can't believe that just happened in front of Frederick Schandorf. Pujabea is the Oregon car that's got into him. For a second there, I was a bit worried that that was a bit too close to Frederick Schandorf. I wonder whether there's oil down, though. Schandorf pointing at the circuit, and with Colombini spinning like that. Marshall's, yeah, oil flag is now out, so there was a failure in that car which has put oil down on the circuit, and I think that might spell the end of our race, I'm afraid. Colombini has recovered and has somehow stayed second in Pro-Am. Up into third in Pro-Am, by the way, is the car that was started by Pavarud, and now has Zanon aboard, number 95 for VRS. But I would assume that Colombini will get a penalty for spinning under the safety car. It's kind of a bad thing to do. You should be in full control of your car under safety car conditions. You should be nowhere near the limit of adhesion. And obviously, to spin, you need to go over it. One of our young drivers looking on. Obviously, he hadn't seen himself. Otherwise, we'd have got a wave. 2.5 minutes remaining. I'm afraid that could be it. Stadbader, Bonduel, Soderstrom, your pro podium. De Wilde, Fabi, Arrow, top 6. Leach, 7th. So Brendan Leach is going to get some points. He's going to get 4. But considering Brendan Leach came into the weekend with a single race where he did not score a podium, 2 thirds in Paul Ricard, 2 seconds in Spa, a second and then a first at the Nürburgring, a win in Valencia race 1. Then he was 4th in race 2. Considering that, this has been an absolute disaster. However, yes, okay, he's going to probably lose the championship lead to Stab Bader and Michelotto because they're going to take the full 15 points. But it's not disastrous because we've still got 3 races here in Vallelunga. Although you would say Michelotto has absolute control over the performance. It's this afternoon's race, by the way. Jill Stab-Bader would be the starting and qualifying driver. And there you go, bit of soak away to get rid of the oil. Unfortunately, though, we are on the last lap. Safety car, even if it came in at the end of this lap, will release the cars and they will take the checkered flag. So the results are going to be as they are. I'm surprised to see that race control are still telling drivers to change their driver selector. Douglas Bolger being told to change it. Although I'm not sure Douglas Bolger actually has a teammate to change it to. Hence why he hasn't changed it. It's kind of... I'm pretty sure that is the case. So, the car of Frederick Schandorf is now pulled to safety. The oil on the circuit has been soaked away, but the timer is down to 0. We aren't going to do any more racing. Not at least until after a very good Italian lunch. How far could have Loris Spinelli gone? Such pace. He's got somebody alongside him, having a little joke with them. And unfortunately, we are going to see the checkered flag here. Some good guest drives as well, some good performances from some of our guest entries. Alessandro Fabi and Riccardo Ianello will finish 5th position. Good job from them. Got the entry list here, so I can have a look. I don't think Douglas Bolger... Oh, yes, Douglas Bolger does have a teammate. Douglas Bolger is racing with a guy called Robert Greenwood. And I was told that yesterday. So, to the line then. Epic drive from Mattia Michelotto. Gilles Stadbader keeping it nice and solid. And he takes a checkered flag to take victory in race 1 here in Vallelunga, ahead of Bonduel, Soderstrom, and Hugo de Wilde. Limps Ricardo Testa's car over the line in 4th, but they have a 10-second penalty to serve, and that car is going to drop like a stone from 4th because of the pack. Now, I wonder whether that, a big gap being created there between Cabarrus and Balthazar, wonder if that helps de Wilde slot in. I think it does. I think de Wilde will slot in behind Cabarrus. In Pro-Am, Loris Spinelli then, and Lewandowski taking the victory. A huge chunk ahead of Zonzini and Colombini. But I'm a little bit curious as to see whether they'll get a penalty for that spin under safety car conditions. Therefore, it will be 95 that will have the second in class, and that is Marcus Pavarud and Ignacio Zanon for VRS. And then maybe Schondeverd and Jelmer Berman will get on the podium. Maybe. Let's see. So De Wilde and Tester do slot into 9th position. And I wonder whether that was... They are run by Iron Lynx. And then the number 51, it's not an Iron Lynx car, or is it 61? So I was thinking there was some team play there, but actually I'll just have to go and buy the number 51 car a drink. Giacomo Polini and Matteo Polini creating a gap between themselves and the cars ahead of them so that De Wilde and Tester dropped into 9th rather than losing any further positions. Thank you very much. Well, that's a bit of a shame because it was a really strong race from our Pro and Pro-Ams, and to finish under safety car conditions is always a little bit of a damp squib. And here is the provisional classification, but with those penalties applied, Michelotto and Stadbader ahead of Bonduelle, with Largimali and Oliver Soderstrom taking a 3rd position, a very strong result for them. Iannello and Fabi in 4th position. Abby Eaton and Dan Arrow, great result for them in 5th. And then the best of the Pro-Ams, Lewandowski and Spinelli. A bit further down, Zonzini and Colombini provisionally at the moment in 12th position ahead of Pavarud and Zanon, with Schondeverd and Bellman in 15th spot. Penalties for Carol Bash and Fourmagnac. There's Blanchiment and Plat in 22nd position. Melagnoni had a spin, 23rd spot. Question marks over, well, actually it was Robert Greenwood's pace in the second half that dropped them down. Douglas Bolger dropping down the field. And then, of course, the retirements of Schandorf and Au. We also didn't see very much of Orudziev and Abagassar, 75 car. 2 laps down in the end. I wonder whether they had a bit of an issue. So after a podium last time out, it's another 3rd position for Soderstrom and Largimali. There is Stadbader and Michelotto. Happy days. And another win from VRS as well. That's 2 out of 2, isn't it? Didn't they win this morning? Frenchman Bonduelle, 2nd position.
Bravo, cazzo.
There's a man that doesn't understand the rules of racing. You were only 2nd by a little bit, Bonduelle. Yes, but there was a safety car out. Bonduelle, one of those drivers trying to establish himself within the Lamborghini family. But really, that man, Michelotto, is the one that they're all looking at right now. Largimali equaling their best performance. Look how many races that car has done. All those stickers from the scrutineers on the roll hoop. Bonduelle in 2nd spot. It's good for his championship, I suppose, with a bad day for Brendan Leach and a bad day for the Oregon team as well. Bonduelle's just so far back, though, 55 points, equaling his best performance at the Nürburgring, where he got a 3rd and a 2nd. I'm a bit lost as to why we have dogs on the podium. They are our official podium presenters. I don't know. I'm sure it's to do with a charity of some kind. Michelotto and Stad Bader. Will they move up into the championship lead? They were 11.5 points behind. They got a point for pole position, so that was 12.5 points. Then they've 15 points today. That would have put them 2.5 points ahead, but Brendan Leach got 4 points. Did he not? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th position. No, so Brendan got 6. So Brendan actually still leads the championship by a much reduced margin. It makes our championship very interesting. It gives us a lot of fun to look at. Yeah, not the best moment of the race, that one from Colombini. So Michelotto and Stad Bader, I think, will stay in 2nd position. Brendan Leach is definitely still ahead. So 2 podiums then to get ourselves through, the Pro-Am and the Pro podium. Target Racing then 3rd position for Söderström and Ali. Bonduel there in 2nd position, and our winners Michelotto and Stad Bader. Mere kids.
L'inno per Mattia Michelotto registrato a Nervo al momento della consegna dei premi da parte dei visti seguiti direttamente il Super Trofeo a cominciare dal trofeo per il 7º posto per piloti.
4th victory then for Mattia Michelotto and Gilles Stad Bader. Race 1 in Paul Ricard, race 1 in Spa, race 1 in Nürburgring, and now race 1 in Valencia. But the reason why they don't have the championship is the race 2 results. Race 2 coming up this afternoon after a well-earned lunch. And it'll be pressure on Gilles Stad Bader to do a good job in those early laps to give a good position for Michelotto for the 2nd half of the race. They could leave today in championship lead if they have a good, strong result in race 2. I actually do have the provisional qualifying grid for race 2. And there you go. Spinelli and Schandorf are due to be on the front row of the grid. 2 drivers that we completely saw nothing of. Brendan Leach will start in 6th position. Stad Bader and Michelotto will start in 9th position. Colombini and Zonzini are up on the podium. Lewandowski and Spinelli taking the victory. It is not a warm day out there in Vallelunga. It was 19 degrees yesterday. Could have almost sunbathed, but not today. Heavy, heavy cloud covering this Vallelunga circuit, and therefore the jackets are very much on. Lewandowski and Spinelli. Victory in Pro-Am. That's the third victory for Lewandowski. Spinelli missing last time. And I think we're going to be waiting. Oh, some discussion, don't spray the champagne, but they are going to spray the champagne. An entertaining morning's worth of action here in Vallelunga. We've got the second race of round 5 coming up this afternoon. And your Am and Lamborghini Cup is at 1:15 local time, with the Pro and Pro-Am at 2:35. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.